Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. We are trying to catch up on movies that I saw over vacation, even though some of them are on their way out of the theater or coming down to the end of their runs. I still wanted to talk about them because some of them, like this one, I had a ton of fun at. And when you're talking Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham, you know the action's going to be big. And when you're talking about this Fast and Furious franchise universe, you know it's going to be ludicrous and a lot of fun. And that's exactly what we get with this one. So why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. This, of course, is a spin-off movie that features Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham that, ruffled some feathers. Tyrese was not a big fan of the ideas and things, but nonetheless, the fans are certainly winning, man, because we continue to just get these big, ridiculous movies. That's what we're going here for, man. We're looking for to live in a world of suspended belief, right? Like everything that happens, it's huge, it's ridiculous. You have to keep amping these movies up, and it's highly, highly entertaining. And you're talking about two of the most charismatic, entertaining people in this universe in one movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham, and I thoroughly enjoy watching them on camera, like all the time, man. They just know how to play off of each other. Their chemistry is so strong. Their charisma, the charm, the humor. Oh my gosh, man. It's like watching two brothers or like two best friends like be in a room together for a while. Like, you might be able to coexist, or maybe you've had a fight and it's really hard to coexist. But at some point, someone takes a dig, and then the other person takes a dig, and then you kind of go back and forth, and you get a lot of that in this movie, and it's really, really fun. It's the one thing that the writing does well is what it's giving its characters to play with. I'll give that much to the script. Like some of the dialogue and the interactions that you get in the movie, and some of the set pieces that are just set up in the film are a lot of fun. But overall, script is probably the weakest thing in the movie, and one of the weaker scripts in the universe of the Fast and Furious. It's a little disjointed, especially with the way that they jump all over the place, and I'm going to try to get this because The Rock and everyone stressed this like a ton of times. It's Samoa. I think it's Samoa. There's something like that. But when they go there, like stuff like that, like it just felt like it was built in specifically for The Rock, and it didn't quite make any logical sense other than like we have to run and hide someplace. Let's go to Samoa, and stuff like that just kind of makes it disjointed. But it sets up really big action, and it sets up a lot of fun humor and banter interaction for our characters, and the characters are what win this movie, man. It's all about this cast, and this cast is big, and it's strong, like our two leads. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Hobbs here is what we've come to expect in the Fast and Furious movies. He's played this role enough at this point where he knows exactly who he is, and he's fantastic in this, man. He just does everything you want from him. Like I said, it's hard to just talk about one of them because it's all about both of them. Even though they do separate things a few times in the movie, it's really about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham and how they interact on screen, and they both just deliver a lot of fun, entertaining sequences. The action is big, stuff like where they have to go through those two, corridor rooms, and The Rock knocks out one dude, and Statham has to go through like that whole room. What's great too is that the trailers like tease things like that, and when they execute them, yeah, it's a lot of what we've seen, but they're expanded. They're a little bit longer than what we get in the trailer, and they're a ton of fun, man. And there's so much competition between the two of them at the beginning of the movie that you kind of rise to like a peak of the movie in the middle where they kind of have to start working together, and then it gets to go even higher and more ridiculous because they become kind of like a team by the third act. But watching them go back and forth, whether it's that elevator sequence, whether it's, when they're in car chases, that sequence of Idris Elba on the motorcycle is like fantastic. But even though one of them's driving, the other one's bickering. All of that stuff just works so well, and you have a ton of fun with the two of them. And they surround them with a lot of really fun additional characters, right? Idris Elba's Brixton is great. I mean, he's a legitimate superhuman. They've genetically altered him to be able to fight the two guys that really brought the concept of like superhuman feats in these movies into it. And if you're gonna have a villain for these two guys to go up against, might as well be someone with like superpowers, to the point where like he says he's the Black Superman at one point, which we see in the trailer, and then executes what happens in that sequence, and you just sit there in the Rock, you see it in the trailer, the Rock, but you sit there and you go, yeah, he basically is the Black Super. Like, he just needs to shoot lasers out of his eyes, and we're game on. They have a lot of fun with that and what he's able to do, and it just amps the action up, which in a movie like this, that's all you want. And he, you can tell he's having a lot of fun, and he works really well with everybody on screen. But there's one winner in this movie who I just think stole the show, and that's Vanessa Kirby. I said the same thing in Mission Impossible Fallout. Like, her sequence is very short and minimal compared to the rest of the movie, but when they happen, I was just like, dude, that's the one to keep your eyes on. Like, yeah, we've seen her in The Crown, and we've seen her do, dramatic and more theatrical type things. But to see her in an action movie, she showed so much promise in Mission Impossible. I was like, I want to see more. Well, this movie does an excellent job of highlighting Vanessa Kirby. I'm sure that there is a stunt double to do some of the things, but she does a lot of her own stunt work. I think that just kind of rubs off when you work with Tom Cruise. And they stress points, like where you see these long cut sequences where she's got a lot of choreography and then ends where it's like, boom, right on her face. And that just adds, right? Every time people are actually on screen doing stuff, it adds to the entertainment. It adds to how impressive the sequence is, and you get a lot of those for her. She's a lot of fun. Her action is great, and I'm gonna go out and say it. You need to just cast this woman in something in either Marvel or DC. I know I'm always about the superheroes. Well, look who you're talking to. It's the C-Man. I'm all about the superheroes. And I would love to see her in one of these franchises, because you could totally build an entire franchise around her that's action-packed and high-octane, because she can handle all that stuff. And she just meshes so well in the movie with The Rock and Jason Statham. And what her story is probably the most compelling, because she's kind of got like a timer. There's a time with a clock, and she's got, stuff to do. So things are on the line for her, which just kind of adds everything, and you care about her so much. Then, you throw in the rest of the cast, and you have, The Rock's entire family. It is a lot of fun. There's a lot of humor there. They really get that stuff. If there's one thing these Fast and Furious movies are good at, it's family, and the supporting cast is a ton of it. To the point where, like, you get to have a lot of nice cultural references and things that have to do with Samoa for The Rock and his family to do, that even though it does feel kind of disjointed when they go there, you get to really appreciate the culture and some of the things that they highlight on. And the action there is, at the end of the movie. So it's huge, and it's no guns or things. They got, like, hammers and axes. And that stuff was a lot of fun to watch. But the other family, besides just Statham and Kirby, is, of course, Helen Mirren, who plays Queenie, their mom in prison. And she's a lot of fun. She's so good at dropping into movies like this or things like Red. I just love when she pops up into these types of movies, especially when she can be clearly the superior to someone like Statham or Vanessa Kirby. And what they set up with her toward the end of the movie is great as well. So you give this group a really nice supporting cast and two perfect leads with The Rock and Statham. And yeah, it's an okay script, but it has really witty dialogue. And David Leitch, who's done Atomic Blonde and co-directed with Chad Stahelski with John Wick, although I think most of that was Chad, but also Deadpool 2. He knows how to build an action sequence. He's a stunt guy. And some of the action sequences in this movie are phenomenal. So when you have great action, you have really witty humor and dialogue and charismatic actors, you get a ton of fun and a lot of entertainment, even if the story is ridiculous and not great. So for me, I enjoyed the heck out of Hobbs and Shaw. I had so much fun at that movie, man, especially in the fact that, like, it's more like fighting action than driving action, but the driving action we do get in the movie is a lot of fun. You get that sequence with all those cars in Samoa, and obviously that motorcycle chase sequence, which is a lot of fun. And there's one other one that involves a building. It's also pretty ridiculous. But all around, I enjoyed the heck out of it, and that's all I can ask for from any of these Fast and Furious movies, because none of us are asking for anything more. So for me, maybe not one of the best ones in the franchise, but it's definitely real solid. So I enjoyed Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. The question is, did you? Let me know what you thought of the film, what you thought of The Rock and Statham on screen together, if you like that competition element, if you like the family stuff, what worked and didn't work with their characters, the supporting cast, which was massive and a lot of fun. What action did you like or dislike? Is it getting too ridiculous at this point? Or are you just all for dialing it up to like a 15. Let me know everything you're thinking down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man, I need you to go hit that subscribe button and the little bell that follows so you can hang out with me and you'll get alerts every time I make a new video. For the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down, I'm the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. C-Man's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the C-Man goodies, join the Cinema Sit Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.